Welcome back to Tales of Two Bros. I am Angel.
I'm Adan.
The movie we're going to review today is a combination, if you will, of The Matrix, one, Jackie Chan films, some of Disney's storyline, with a touch of Seth Rogen humor, and there you got everything, everywhere, all at once. And that is our action movie review. Spoilers. So this new movie starring Michelle Yeoh, we can look at this movie as a regular movie review, as a sci-fi review, but I thought it'd be best to do this as a action review. Why? Because there are plenty of action.
I agree with you. Like the way this film's done, it's like action, sci-fi, comedy, a drama, a whole
Mhm.
rolled into one. If we focus on the
Right.
action, it's probably easier to grasp and understand our review of
Right.
this.
I put Disney into it because there is that element where there's rift between child and parent, and where the child wants to be independent but also be recognized his or her worth, and where the parent is not letting go and being stubborn but also dealing with the father or the mother figure, dealing with their issues. Also, they have felt like more of a touch of The Alchemist as well, in the sense of what you think you might want, you already have. Her husband, played by Goonies and Indiana Jones and a Temple of Doom star, Ke Hu Kwan.
That was him?
You didn't know that was him?
Bro, I haven't seen him since he was a kid.
Dude, that was him.
I thought he looked so familiar too.
Let's be honest, he looked a lot like Jackie Chan.
He did too. And this is not to be offensive. He has a similar nose to Jackie Chan.
But also like some of his mannerism when he was playing the tough guy, the alpha.
True.
Also that the fanny pack.
Yeah, that was
So
very Jackie Chan moment. The fanny pack.
right.
Oh my god.
Yes. This takes place where a family migrates to America to set a new life, to start a new life. They open a laundromat. One day, she's approached by her husband from another universe that's taken over her present day's husband or that world's husband,
Mm-hmm.
saying that she is the one. She is the one to save the universe. She is the one that's going to make everything and make the sense of it all. And she's like, what the hell? Long story short, she does. With a combination of martial arts and understanding and love.
But you're right. That is a very Disney-esque thing about her finding the love and getting the understanding and learning and whatnot. Honestly, I thought you were going to reference Ratatouille.
Let's just be honest, they just stole the damn thing quite hysterically as well. I was wondering though, because I didn't check the credits, if Bradley Cooper made an appearance as the raccoon. Like I said, it's pretty much an all-star Asian cast, except for two people, but mainly Jamie Lee Curtis,
Mm-hmm.
who I thought was awesome. She plays an IRS agent, and then she plays an agent of the main villain. I just thought she was going to only be in that one scene when we see her in the office as the IRS. I didn't expect her to be throughout the film.
Well, you know what? That goes credit to like a lot of the other characters or the actors in the movie. Like you said, it's like almost an all-star cast. I was surprised by it because I try to avoid a lot of the trailers.
Oh, me
And
too.
I did not I knew about Jamie Lee Curtis, of course, but I
Hmm.
did not know about some of the other actors. Like I was surprised
Right.
by, and this is not a stab at them at all. This is literally their character name, Big Nose. If you look up the credits, it literally says Big Nose.
Why? Because that's what they were called by Michelle Yeoh's character.
Yes.
They didn't bother learning the name, so that's how they identified them as.
Hmm.
So I think that's genius that they did that. Oh, and Kill Bill. Sorry, damn, I forgot. Kill Bill. If you like Kill Bill, and you like, and also the dog on the leash.
Yes, Big Nose with the dog.
I think
The
her
video's
name
gonna be titled The Nose. Oh my god.
with the credits is 220 minutes. I think this movie could have been with the credits 2 hours.
Yeah.
There are some times where it just dragged. It felt at times it was repeating itself.
And that was a funny thing. Like, for example, that third part, all at once. The movie breaks it down into three sections. Everything, part one,
Well,
everywhere, part two, and then all at once, part three.
and that's very Kill Bill esque, where they
Yes.
broke it down in chapters.
I think they could have just gone with two parts, condensed some of the things, and just say
Or
everything all at once, and that would have been part two.
All at Once was more like an epilogue because it was
Ex-
very short.
It was extremely short. And there were some moments that were intentionally meant to be slow to
Mm.
grasp certain, like the rocks. That was a very, very slow moment.
Hysterical, but yeah.
Yeah, but like when they were just sitting there and you're just watching, it's like it's just to slow down. So there were moments that were you probably could have trimmed up. Yeah, I think they could have probably shaved off some time. But the only time I looked at my watch is when they were like part two.
For me, I was like, it's still going on. I was like, all right,
Well, when
I'm
they
ready
hit
to
part two, I
the
thought the
end.
movie was done. But that was also for another reason too.
Oh, the way it ended it. Yeah, you thought when her character originally died
Spoilers again.
and it just cuts to a screen, it just cuts like the end, and you're like, huh? And
and then it goes part two.
but
Because then we were like, I thought there was supposed to be
well,
another.
right. Well, because I knew it was not it because it didn't seem, for one, it didn't seem right. But I was like, hey, I've seen worse things happen in movies. But it shows that it's actually what they're doing is we're watching what other people are watching in the sense of in another world, her character is an actress that did that movie, a sci-fi movie of what's happening in our reality watching that makes any freaking sense. Let's go into the action. That's where I want really, or what we wanted to do.
Focus.
In relation to the movie, the duration of action as a total is very low. I would say possibly 20 minutes of action from a 2 hour and 20-minute film. Done very well. The first action we see is with her husband in the background, again played by Kei-Hugh Kwan. On the cameras in the laundromat, you see him again, very Jackie Chan-esque, jumping over washers, tables, going into the office, coming back out. Then the next one is with him again, fighting off security guards. And to me, I have to say that's one of the best action scenes in the whole movie, in my opinion.
One of the best usages of a fanny pack I've seen in a long time.
Who knew? Again, that's something Jackie Chan would have done in the sense of using what he has on. On certain fights, there's certain times where, or movements that you're like, ooh, that's nice, or they got it, or they show you more about that character. And that was when he's taking a break. He does a single leg squat.
Yeah, that reminded me of Wheels on Meal, and where like Jackie Chan's like, and he takes a sit in the wall, but he's using the opportunity to grab stones to put in the fanny pack. One of the best lines in the movie that made me crack up was when he hits the first officer with the fanny pack in the face, and the guy flies into the cubicle. You hear the other guy, oh no, Craig. And for some reason, when he said that, I died laughing in the theater, just the way he said it, the tone. It's like, oh no, Craig. But yeah, he was going to town on all of them. Didn't matter, like man, woman, whatever. As long if they were a security guard, they were getting a fanny pack to the face.
That was mainly him, Quan, doing it because I have seen him in a direct-to-video movie. I can't remember the name. There's a movie where he and another guy, they're brothers. He's adopted to an American family, and they're doing taekwondo, and they have a sifu because he does drunken kung fu. The story in that one movie is like his adopted brother is the bad seed, and Quan is the good seed. So it's kind of like that story of you could take a cow to water, it'll make milk, and if you take a snake to water, it'll create venom. Anyway, he's legit. So to see him do that again, it was great.
Yeah, he did have like one other, and with Jamie Lee Curtis, and that was another thing about the fights that made them interesting. Like traditionally, when you watch a fight scenes, like their abilities are usually based on their physicality, but if they're tapping into the abilities of another universe, that kind of gets muted. Like Jamie Lee Curtis, they're like, what did she tap into? A sumo wrestler, and she's moving like furniture and throwing people around. And
for me, I was thinking, oh man, they're doing Batman and Bane.
It had those, like they were like, she's going for the backbreaker.
Also, like to tap into those abilities, that they had to do something to shock the system, no matter how gross it became, or obscure or obscene.
Yeah, there were some it's not necessarily kid friendly in some parts.
That's why I say the Seth Rogen humor. You have one scene where Joy is fighting a security guy, the same one, the bald-headed guy, with 12-inch dildos.
And she beats one guy to death with them too.
It's all bloodied. And then you have butt plugs. which is later on in the other scene, which I thought was the funniest action scene in the
Well,
movie.
when I first saw the trophies, I'm like, oh my God, did they really make a butt plug joke? And then
Right.
later in the movie, the scene that we're talking about, they
Yeah.
were literally used as butt plugs. And then there was the other trophy that wasn't even designed to look that way. And it was like a bong sized trophy up another guy's
Right.
butt.
Well,
But he jumped on it.
but that scene with the butt plugs, that's the other way. I don't know how else to say it. It was a really good scene.
Yeah. So
And that the action, it was very good with
I
him, the bald headed
agree.
guy, and the other guy with the bong.
The drummer, I call him the drummer because he can't, when he was introduced, he was like drumming on the desk.
He reminded me of one of the characters in the Raid 2. In the Raid 2, there's a kid who's like that has a bat. And there's times where you see him, he enters a room, he's just like either tapping the floor or dragging it.
Mhm.
And that kid in the office is playing, like you're saying, the drums. That had that resemblance in the entrance.
I feel like you're thinking of the
Right.
girl with the hammers in Raid 2
No,
because I
no,
felt
but
like it was closer.
well, I'm thinking because it's the guy and he didn't really speak. The hammer girl was more like no nonsense where he will play around, he'll grab a ball and he'll hit the ball to the guy to either
True.
knock them down or whatever. I don't know, the way he carried himself, this seemed like that. And that for me also when they were fighting, I was just looking like how is it gonna fall out? Is it gonna drop out? Is it gonna
Eventually
is
it
it gonna
comes out.
well,
It
it
was
comes out
very
by
well,
her.
and that was another thing about it. The choreography throughout the film was very well played. Like, and that scene was a great example of how they did the choreography, like because they slowed down the one moment where she like takes out how they're tapping into their martial art universe.
You have essence of the one of Jet Li's the one
True.
where it's from multiple multiverse. And I just find it funny too, in the sense of multiverse, you have the aspect of Marvel. They actually said the multiverse.
Well, I don't think that's like a Marvel.
Right. You can't help but think of it now when you hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but two of the producers of the film are the Russo brothers. So
Are still,
they
is it the brothers?
Huh?
Who were the directors that had the sex change?
No, that's the Wachowski brothers.
So Wachowski sisters.
Russo, yes, but I'm talking about the Russo brothers, the ones who did Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame.
My bad. I got the brothers and siblings mixed up.
It's all good. But the one with the dildos, the one with the butt plugs, that to me felt very Seth Rogen. He did something like that, similar to Sausage Party, where it became out of nowhere an orgy, and we're like, "What the hell?" And it goes right back to the movie, and I was like, "Okay."
Speaking of sausage, we should talk about the hot dog fingers.
No, I don't want to talk about that. So gross.
That was
so gross.
I don't know why that felt so gross. It was used in the fights too,
Where she blocks
with the
Jamie
feet, and she fights with her feet and like grabs and does stuff with her toes. It's because they got so good with using their feet rather than having hands. By the way, people, they're talking about a branch of reality where instead of having regular appendages on your fingers, the humanity evolved to have hot dogs for fingers. I don't get the logic. It was really off the grid. And somehow when they bite into their fingers, it was either ketchup or mustard that would come out, which is also
gross. Really gross.
Yeah, really gross.
Did you notice also, because I asked Kim, said, what? It was like a hand sausage or something like that at the end of the credit.
No, I missed that. I didn't stay for the exact end. I Googled to see if there was an end credit scene, and they're like, no.
So yeah, we stayed in, but yeah, there was like a copyright hand sausage or something like that, or hand hot dogs, something like to that effect, LLC. And I was like, huh? That's weird. And she's like, you don't get it? It's like, what did we just see? I was like, oh yeah, okay, you're right.
I know what you were going to say about the pinky.
That was straight up Kill Bill 2, where she's training with Pai Mei. And this one is with the woman with the white hair, which is another popular character in Chinese martial art films. And yeah, I was a little weird where the pinky gets a bicep pop out.
That was straight up anime moment. She goes like this, and she just flexes, and there's like a Popeye anime muscle that comes out, and then she goes like Batman style, like boom, and starts fighting everybody.
Give it up to James Wong.
James Hong.
My apologies.
Almost jumped out my seat when I saw James Hong, because I was like, oh my God, he's in this. I love James Hong. He's a fantastic actor, and he does a lot of typecast roles. I'm not gonna say no to that, but when he puts himself into a role, fantastic roles. I love most of the movies I've ever seen him in. I've seen him was Lo Pan and Big Trouble in Little China, one of my all-time greatest films.
So, okay, did you, as I did, thought of that when he was in the wheelchair?
I did, of course. I was like, I just wanted like a shut up Mr. Button moment.
I wanted that too. He didn't do that. I was like, come on. on, that's perfect opportunity to do that.
Oh no, and he's spoofed that before. There was a music video where he's like Lopan style.
And he's also done it in the Ninja Turtles episode I told you about a while back.
Yeah,
They did a spoof on Big Trouble in Little China and the Turtles, and his voice. It wasn't Lopan. I think it called Lohan or something like that. They
yeah.
just
I will say, and he was not excluded from the action too. It like very, very little. Like he was an antagonist. He turned out to be an antagonist because it's
right.
really like a three-way thing. You got Michelle Yeoh's character, Joy's character,
Mhm.
who is the main antagonist, and then he's
Right.
leading the way to try to kill Joy's character. And there's a moment
But
where he kind of wrestles Evelyn, and
mhm.
which was hilarious because he kind of turned his wheelchair. They never show
Into
how, but the
like a
wheelchair turned
transformer
into,
kind of.
into like an Iron Man transformer suit. It's like in the back of my mind, I was like, did he just turn into a sentry? You remember that old Hanna-Barbera cartoon, Sentries?
Yeah.
And he had the clamp arm from Aliens 2.
Yes.
And he had one of the grossest moments too. Third grossest moment, where she's
Oh,
like,
which one?
the goes like this,
One?
and then she puts it in her mouth.
Oh,
He's
yes.
always having a runny nose. He also had
Okay, did
another
you see that?
at the beginning when they first introduced him. He's eating. He blows his nose, wipes everything down, including his chopsticks, and then he eats with
Yes.
his
He,
chopsticks. I was like, oh my
yeah.
god! I was
We
like,
saw that too. We were like, did he just really wipe his chopsticks with his snot rag and then start eating it with the chopsticks?
it wasn't
I
even
was
like
like,
a good
oh my
tissue
God.
either. It was just like a tissue paper, so it just seeped through.
How many scenes can you think of there are action?
I can go down the line. So there was when you
Yeah.
first see the husband do martial arts
Right.
stuff, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Then there's I guess you can count the janitor Colossus when he gets killed.
Not really, because it's not really action. He just comes in and breaks the neck.
Well,
None of us can say.
exclude that
I
then.
mean,
There's of course, his initial fight scene. Then the fight scene with him with Jamie Lee Curtis.
okay. Yes, 3.
Do you want to count the stairway fight scene with Jamie Lee and her?
Yes, because that was actually a good one.
So that's 4. The daughter with the security guards. That's 5. Then number 6 was the summonings of everybody to kill her in the office with the sex dungeon room.
Right.
They come out, then it's the office. That's number 7. It was broken down to a couple parts, but that's pretty much going into the trophies. Number 7, I want to say.
Okay.
Number 8 is her versus her daughter. No, that's later. Goes into the main hall, the main area where she's fighting and doing the pinkies and stuff like that. Number 9 is after she resurrects, she fights again. 10 is going to be the daughter, because her and the daughter do throw some blows. Actually, before the daughter she goes on the stairs. It's the stairs fight scene that you were talking about.
In my opinion, it was long and stupid, especially with the no, I'm not. It is.
Yeah.
I'm saying the ratatouille kind of thing they were doing. I was like, okay.
They really hammered on the raccoon tooie.
Did you count the one in the office with the shield?
Yes.
Actually, I did like one too. The way that she used the shield was really cool.
Mm-hmm. And the thing to emphasize is like when she's fighting, it's not always the martial art. It's she's taking skills from other and applying them to the fight. But yeah, I would say 10 fights.
And later on, she was able to combine a couple traits instead of just one.
Exactly.
I think, do we agree on the same 2 scenes? So we both like the fanny pack scene.
Was that your favorite fight scene?
It is my favorite for many things. Like I said, we saw a taste of him moving on the monitors in the laundromat. But then we see how this movie, in a sense of the action sense, is going to be. It was very detailed. You can tell there was time and effort put into this. And that just set the pace in the action sense.
True.
That's why I like it. And then my second one is the funniest, the butt plugs.
The trophies.
Well, they're not, I say butt plugs because one was a trophy, one was a bong. I don't know if that was actually considered a trophy.
That's true. But yeah, the trophy looked like, let's be honest, that was a butt plug.
Of course, no doubt about it. But it was done very well too. She's fighting, it's a 2-on-1 scene. Both of those guys are well-trained martial artists. The other one, the bald-headed guy, he's also in Paper Tigers. I don't know where the other guy is from. I did like the one where she's using the shield. Some of it's kind of far-fetched where, you're dodging swords, but those are the 2. And those are the 2 for you, or do you like one more than the other?
So for me, it was the trophy scene was actually over the fanny pack. because
Okay.
I was in stitches just cracking up. It was, and I count the drum beating into that one scene because it was no break in between.
So I'm considering all that as one
Yeah.
when he's introduced until the end of the 2-on-1.
And then
That's me.
I
But
think
yeah,
that was a fantastic segue that moved in, and it was just great seeing. I would also say I do like the fanny pack scene, but the shield scene with her fighting in that office actually was
right.
really good
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that she not it wasn't just about the shield. She did other things too that was really good. But personally, the part where she's fighting, and I want to say it was around a fountain, if I remember correct, with a pink situation. That was my
Mm-hmm.
second favorite because that's when I was like, things are really heating up and it's really picking up, and she's doing the picking, and then I'm like, this movie's off the rails.
I think you like that one because it touched the anime factor
Honestly, like, and that
show
was the thing they
movie.
pointed out, that it didn't matter if the reality was 2D, 3D, people were piñatas, whatever. There could be a
Right.
reality of that nature. So
Mhm.
I that was a yeah, you could do that. What was a fight scene you did not enjoy?
Her and the daughter at the stairway by the everything bagel. It just seemed it was dragging. It felt repetitive in what they were talking about. And because it wasn't just not the fight scene, because they were flashing back to the alpha world, they were flashing back to other things.
I can kind of agree with that.
If they didn't go into the world where that chef was crying and then she got on top of him, pulled his hair to make him run after the raccoon. If they didn't do that and then they showed her get on top of the guy because we know it's the same guy and making him fight, I think that would have been better and it says have been a little more comical. For you, the same thing for the stairs,
I
or
can go with that for that. There was a lot of moments that overall I thought were very touching moments, but they could have trimmed that down. It could have been cleaned up.
for me, like again, to go back, I love that the fact that they honored Jackie Chan and his work and his films. I like that where they had the touch of the Matrix, where I know because you saw where they're downloading or they're finding they similar to how they used to do when download information into Neo and learning how to fight. Again, the one where you have a villain traveling
I will say
to
this because I did love the idea, and this is granted not necessarily to the action part, but shows that the imperfection of the multiverse travel. It's like it's not like in the Matrix where you like just need this and everything every time they get what they want. Because remember, like she would try to do something. It's all about doing random situation causes one act of probability that somehow
right.
connects you to that multiverse. Like one time
And you
when
had to
she
do
was
it.
fighting the drummer guy, I think it was a drummer guy, and this is what brought about the trophy. They both mess up, and now they're fighting with like the hot dog fingers, and they're slapping each other.
That's with Joy.
Oh,
She was trying to fight Joy. She couldn't. I was like, what? And then Joy, that is, you're tapping into this world where
hmm
they can't use it. I want to say this with Michelle Yeoh. She did such a good job in the sense of martial arts. Obviously, she was trained. She did several films,
hmm
with Jackie Chan and Jet Li, and she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. But Evelyn, the way she stood, the way she held her hands, the way she tried to throw punches, it was like, wow, this girl doesn't know anything.
yeah.
And it showed that. I was like, okay. I was like, this is really deep because it's hard for a person who's really skilled to look like they're not skilled.
Unlearn your skills. Yeah.
But Michelle did a very good job in that.
When you just focus on the action alone, there was a lot of moments of surprise. Even through the action, you have moments like the end scene. As much as we talk down about the end fight scene on the stairway, there's moments of emotion that are done in that. There's a lot of humor in a lot of the fights for various different reasons, not just for the gratuity, but
Right.
also for like their
Mm-hmm.
fighting styles. And there's almost in their fighting styles as they come through. Beautifully done. All done in the same building for the most part because
Right.
it's all in the IRS building. Yeah, it's really well played when you think about it that way. Again, I was seeing action from characters and actors that I was like, oh, they're just going to be a side character or a side portrayal. And I'm like, what? What? Jamie Lee coming in with a double jump kick?
Yes. Oh, yes. I was cracking up the whole wrestling thing. I was like, what? I
She's
was
like
like,
soups up and her stomach gets sucked in and she's hulking out. She jumps
no.
in like Morpheus from the Matrix. That was hilarious.
Mhm.
Between her and her husband, I got emotional.
I was like, geez, yeah, I felt bad for him. Oh my
I did.
gosh, he just told him I would have a better life without you. I
Oh
was like,
my god, that
oh,
hit me. That actually hit me in my soul. I
oh,
felt that. I was like, I almost cried. I felt my
oh
eyes
my
tear up several
god.
times. and for
Yeah.
Joy.
If you're a daughter, you would get this. If you're a mother, you would get this. You should anyway, in one aspect.
Even the
If
grandfather,
you're
that moment at the end with the grandfather talking to him about that stuff. There's a lot of strong verbiage, but emotion.
a lot of people can get something out of it. Just for us, the action part. Now, based on the action only, is this worth the watch?
For me, it was.
I will second that.
You didn't sound so
This-
confident. You're like, okay.
Based on the action alone, is this movie worth your money?
I am okay with saying yes. I'm glad I went to see this in the theater.
Not to say in the theater, not that. I'm talking
True.
about like to own.
I'm gonna say no. I would watch this as a stream, but I don't think I would buy it. Just to be honest.
No, I agree. I would not purchase it,
Mhm.
but definitely worth my time to watch. I will watch it again. I'll
If
probably
if
watch
they
it
came
again.
out
Just
with like a lot of behind the scenes on the DVD, would
no.
now if it
The
was
thing
part of
is,
like a Michelle Yeoh collection, like DVD or
no.
Blu-ray pack, I would. For me, I would. If it was a combo sale, I would do
Okay.
that.
Oh, this is what I wanted to say. The action made sense and it moved the story along.
Yes, it wasn't senseless.
We have seen movies where the action happens or like, why?
Yeah.
How is this progressing the story? How is it moving the story forward? And it did. Kudos to that for the people.
There was a couple points where I thought that could have been the case, but it actually did help move the story along. Like when they first introduced Joy as the bad and she starts killing, it's like, okay, it's the cliche just killing the security guards and whatnot, but they actually
Oh, the way she killed them?
yeah, it actually turns into something else. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're going crazy. There's a lot going on in that movie. When they say everything, they mean everything.
Oh, let's go. Okay. Damn it. We always do this. How hysterical was it with that go-go scene?
The go-go.
With the dog.
Oh, we talked about that, but yeah, that was so great. Was the dog named Go-Go?
No, I'm referring to Go-Go because of the character from Kill Bill.
Yeah.
Who had the steel whip.
And she apologized to the dog too as she's doing it, which is great.
For me, it was hysterical. It was when she throws the dog, whips the dog, actually, just like Go-Go does in Kill Bill to go after the bride.
Yeah.
Here is Evelyn. Evelyn backs up and cuts the leash, and the dog just keeps going. The dog doesn't come back, though. You notice that?
Yeah.
The dog doesn't come back to her. The dog just goes, shoo.
No, the part that cracked me up about that scene was when she's like whipping the dog around, she grabs the dog back. They zoom in on the dog real quick, and it goes like the dog somehow got someone's mind in their dog, and they're using the dog as a weapon too.
That was hysterical too. So again, that is our review of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, starring Michelle Yeoh and Quan from Goonies and Temple of Doom. If you've seen it, let us know what you thought about it. What was your favorite scene, action-wise? Until next time, we'll be the next time. I'm Angel.
I'm Adan.
Love you, bro.
Love you, bro.